Okay. I said yesterday that we have physical servers available and we install esxi on our physical servers. So I have given one server, one esxi server, 10.2.1.204 IP, and the second esxi server 10.2.1.205. 10.2.1.206 is my shared storage, that is NFS, and I will install vCenter on 10.2.1.203. This is the jump server on which I am logged in remotely, and this machine 207 is also our DNS server. 10.2.1.44 is our NTP server, which is network time protocol server. So to install a vCenter, we have this basic requirement that these services should be available. So this is a recorded video because installing vCenter can take up to an hour or so. So I have skipped few things, and I just went on in the installation just like that. So as you can see, 10.2.1.205 is my esxi machine, and 10.2.1.204 is my esxi machine. These are two my physical servers. So right now we don't have any virtual machine available. It is just the raw installation and nothing more. I am adding an NFS share. The NFS server, you can see it is 10.2.1.206. And I can show you later how I created the NFS share. So we will provide the server NFS server IP, the NFS share name, which we already configured on the backend. And now this shared storage is available. We can mount a storage, we can rename it. So you can rename a storage just like that, just right click and rename it. So I am renaming it as share NFS. You can name it anything. So now shared drive is available with our esxi, and this is the package. Before that, first of all, we should have a DNS server set up. And I told you everything should be resolvable. So I will do NS lookup, set my DNS server 10.2.1.207 because this is my DNS server. I am resolving from this DNS server. So let's try esxi1.cloud.com. I have set up this domain. This is resolving. esxi2.cloud.com and vcenter.cloud.com. So everything is resolving. So we can go with the installation. We need a jump server to install the esxi, and that jump server is not running on these two hosts. So what I'm going to do is I am telling that install this vCenter on one of the esxi hosts we just prepared. So I am giving the IP of esxi host so that this machine, this vCenter, can be deployed on one of those esxis. So I will provide the password of esxi server. Hit next. And now I can tell that what will be the name of my vCenter server. The default is VMware VCenter server, so I'm going with that. I'm setting the password. And I am selecting the size as small. With small, you can manage up to 1,000 VMs and 100 physical hosts. With large, you can see in the table, you can manage 1,000 physical hosts and 10,000 virtual machines. So I'm going with the small because we have just 2 hosts available and maybe 1 or 2 VM right now. Here, I am defining that the network will be VM network, which is already available on my esxi servers. The IP address is static. FQDN fully quantified domain name is vcenter.cloud.com. We know we have set up in DNS. The IP address is 10.2.1.203. I have mentioned everything in the text file. The subnet mask, the gateway, the DNS server, and this will be default 80 and 443. This is the HTTP and HTTPS port, and that's it. When we will hit finish, this will take about 20 to 30 minutes to just go through the stage 1. So it will start deploying the vCenter appliance. We will discuss what the appliance is, and okay, we got an error that the installer is unable to connect to vCenter server management interface. It is because 10.2.1.2.03 was not this jump server was not able to connect to 10.2.1.2.03 because I was doing nested virtualization. Like I have a physical server on top of it. I have esxi. On that esxi, I have created a VM. On top of that VM, I again created an esxi, and this is called nested virtualization. So there was some small mistake I did in the setup. So I fixed that and established the communication. But it is saying that you have successfully deployed the vCenter server, and we can continue by browsing in the URL 10.2.1.2.03.5480. 5480 is the management port of vCenter server. So I can fix it. Just give let's copy this and save this URL. When the issue is resolved, I am sorry, I am able to connect to vCenter server. We can provide the username password, and we can continue for stage 2. So we go in the setup. So time synchronization is very important because here we are already talking about communication through vCenter and ESXi. We communicate through SOAP requests, through REST APIs. We have our certificates available. I will show you later, but wherever certificates are, we are using certificates, the NTP server time synchronization is very important. Otherwise, communication will break. We will proceed to stage 2 now. So by default, we have vsphere.local domain available on vCenter, and the default username is administrator. We will provide the password, and we will hit next. That's it. And it will install our ESXi server. Oh, sorry, vCenter server. So again, this stage will take a couple of minutes, and I am skipping these till it goes to 100%. And our vCenter is installed. So why we use vCenter? Let's see now. So this is the management interface. We will open this only when we have something wrong with vCenter. Otherwise, we will not go with 5480. Either we can go with the domain name, or we can go with the IP address. Okay, no, 203, not 230. So this is the vCenter installed. This is the interface. And right now we have no host available. So first thing we will create is we can create our data center. We can name it anything. The default is data center. And now we can add our host, which are to be managed. So we will add host. And the host IP address is 10.2.1.204 or esxi1.cloud.com. As this is resolvable, so it will again connect to 10.2.1.204 for esxi1. I will provide the esxi root username and password, which we set up while installing them. And if I hit next, please mute everyone. So I am adding the second host. And you can see now both of the ESXIs are available in my vCenter server. I can manage them from here, and I have shared NFS available on both the hosts. I can click host and check that it is available to both the hosts. Yes, it is available with both the hosts. So I have shared storage available. I have 2 ESXIs available, and we are good to go. So this is the vCenter installation. I have CentOS already available, the ISO available, so I can create a virtual machine. So I can name it CentOS 1. I can install it on any of the hosts on a shared drive. And this will be a Linux machine. Just like that, we can set up the CPU, RAM, hard disk. And we can expand the disk parameters, and we can select some more parameters like thin provisioning. We want to go thick provisioning. We can limit the IOPS, that how much usage can be, how many IOPS can be used from the backend storage. And we can select from the data store our ISO file, and we are good with the installation. So we have taskbar available. The task we are doing, it will be shown below. And we know we have installed it, the CentOS VM on ESXi2. Just like our normal type 2 hypervisors, this VM installation step will be the same. And we will install our first VM on this setup. I am skipping the installation till the end because we have already installed CentOS many times. And here I have told you that there is a concept of vMotion. vMotion is what we have to define the vMotion interface, that this machine can be moved from host 1 to host 2, or if we have host 3 available, without any downtime. And we can move from one physical server to another physical server by setting up this configuration. On every host, we will define our vMotion interface. We just check it, and that's it. It's enabled. Let's see if CentOS is installed. And our CentOS is installed. What I'm going to do is I will ping this machine from my jump host, which is not available on this infrastructure. It is sitting outside. but I have network connectivity available. Let's power on this machine and do some testing on this environment and see whatever I was claiming before, if it works or not. Let's set up the IP address first. I'm giving this machine 208 IP address. On a command prompt, what we can do is we can ping this machine to show if this machine is available and responding to the network, and it is not going down. -T is for continuous ping. So I can create a file, and I am, let's assume, working on some file, and I am creating abc.txt. I am working on this machine, and let's say on the back end, what I can do is we can all see that it is running on esxi 02. I can migrate this machine to host 1. And let's see if this machine goes down while moving to the other physical host or a physical server. You can see just like that, it is gone on host 1. Our ping is even not dropped. Whatever we are working on, it's there. We are at the same screen. The machine is not rebooted. That's how you can migrate a running machine. So let's say till it is powering on, I can show you. Just it should remain on the same screen. And this is my putty. We all know that 206 is our NFS server. So let's log into the backend storage, which I have shared with these two machines. So I can go root and the password. So while adding an NFS server, I use the path var NFS share. So if I hit enter, I have this CentOS ISO available, and I have this vCenter server available. I have this folder of CentOS 1 available. So if I go the screen, let me increase the screen size. So if I go into CentOS 1, if I hit enter, we have the VMX file available. We have actually all the configurations are here. This is the NVRAM, the RAM of this machine. This is, there is the VMDK file. This is the VMDK file. If I hit ls minus lh, so the VMDK file is 20 gigs because I have assigned this machine 20 gigs of the space. So let's say I want to clone this machine, and we all know what clone is. So let's go to the machine. Let's go on, let's go on the vCenter server. Why are we working here? We have vCenter available 10.2.1.203. So now we know we have these two hosts available, and I can clone this virtual machine. So I am going to clone to a virtual machine, and I am saying it the name CentOS2. And let's hit next. It will be the thin provision on the same shared storage. If I hit next, and finish, so it will start cloning the virtual machine. And if we go to our shared drive or the NFS server, let's hit ls. So now we have CentOS2 folder available. So all the data, everything will go on the shared storage. That shared storage can be NFS. In the production environment, it will be either connected to the fiber channel network, which is a very high speed network. It can be esxi. or it can be any shared environment depending on your workload and the availability of hardware or software. So this CentOS 2 is available just like that, and it will copy it from the original machine, and it is available on the backend server. And when we will go vMotion, only the RAM is transferred from one physical machine to the other physical machine, and the hard disk will be utilized from which is already available to both the machines. And we know the RAM will be what, 1 GB, 2 GB. So migrating 1 or 2 gigs on the network is not very, it will not take that much time. I am now cloning the machine, so it is cloning the hard disk. So hard disk can be 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte. So cloning a machine will take time. It depends on your backend infrastructure, how fast it can copy. But migrating from here and there, that is so simple. Till it is migrating, I can show you one more thing. I said that we can make a cluster of all the available machines, and we can say it highly available cluster. We can name it anything. And these are the two features, DRS and HA. So if I hit HA, the HA is automatically on. No further configuration is required. And we can just drag these hosts inside that cluster. So I am dragging both of these inside that HA cluster, and let's see what happens. So it's just drag and drop. And we have status move host into HA cluster. And what is HA cluster? If one host goes down, all the VMs in this cluster running on that host will be rebooted on another host, and they will be rebooted. So your downtime is reduced. Further, we can enable DRS. Let's first let it happen. Actually, we should check the running tasks only. So our clone is 95%. And both these machines are now in a HA, both these physical servers are now in HA cluster. If we have more, we can put all of them in this HA cluster. And there is one more thing. We can go with the settings, and we can turn on DRS. What is DRS? Dynamically, we can say it fully automated. We can go with aggressive, very aggressive, that it will decide automatically that this machine is overloading. I should perform HA and migrate it to the other machine. So it will start migrating stuff here and there and try to stabilize your cluster. You can clone a virtual machine. You can take a snapshot of a virtual machine. What's a snapshot? We have discussed it before, but let's do it. First, I want to show you is if we go to CentOS 1 directory, we have VMDK available. Where is our VMDK? Where is our VMDK? This is our VMDK. So let's take a snapshot.
So is it like an image of configuration?
That's what I'm going to show you. If I hit enter again, you see, let's go big screen here. You see, when I hit ls before, what was the name of our disk file? It was CentOS1 flat.vmdk. Now, if you can see the difference, we have now this VMDK file is changed. It is now CentOS 001 VMDK, and then we have delta.vmdk. Now our hard disk, the original hard disk was this. Now we have this VMDK available, and this is the original hard disk. when we take the snapshot, it freezes the state of this hard disk, and it will create another hard disk, which is the delta disk. All the changes will be written in this delta disk. Let's assume we are performing some upgrade, we are patching something. When we take the snapshot, we freeze the original state of that disk and we create a delta disk. Now, if I hit ls minus lh, this is my flat disk and this is my delta disk. It is 44K and 295K. Because on the CentOS machine, we are not actually doing anything. If we do the upgrade, if we install the package, it means new files are coming. So this file, this flat VMDK will remain the same, and the size of this delta disk will start growing. And if our upgrade is successful, what we should do is we will delete the snapshot. And when we delete the snapshot, either we can go back to the previous snapshot, so it will delete those two files and will take us to this original hard disk. If we are just deleting the snapshot, what it will do is it will do the merging of these disks with the parent disk, and it will again become a single disk. The problem is, like many people think that snapshot is actually a backup. It's not a backup. We are just freezing the state. So let's say if I can hit another snapshot, my second snapshot. So let's go here again, ls minus lh. So you see, we have another delta group available. Now, this was freezed before. This will also be freezed, and all the changes will start coming to this delta disk, and so on. The problem is, let's say you have 10 snapshots, so you have 10 pairs of these delta disks. If any one of them gets corrupt, let's say if delta 1 is corrupt, this will not work, because what VMware does, it reads the data from here, and from here at the same time. It will not change the data here and here. It will only apply the changes here if we are on the second snapshot, but it is reading the data from all the snapshots, and your data can become inconsistent, and it will become inconsistent. Then VMware, the vCenter will ask you to consolidate your disks. So consolidation means it will try to recover the data, it will try to recover the state, but the consolidation can be successful or it cannot be successful. So then you have to go back to the original data. Like you can go, okay, this machine is crashed, it's not working. So let's go to the previous state. When you go to the previous state, let's say delta 1 is corrupted, delta 2 is of no use. So we have to go to this state. So the changes done after this state will all be gone. So that's why I am saying snapshot is not a backup. It's just you're freezing the state of your machine. Okay.
Got it.
Got it.
So I have seen people taking snapshots that, okay, this is a backup. When anything will happen, I will go back to the previous state. And they always end up in a mess. I have seen it so many times because I am working with VMware for more than a decade. So this can become a nightmare. I mean, there is a possibility that you have installed an operating system, you have taken a snapshot, okay, let's configure it, and then we will go into the production, and you forgot to delete the snapshot. Now, the base OS is just 20 GB, and when you go into the production, the data is coming in, and you have reached 1 terabyte. So the size of snapshot is terabyte, if you have reached terabyte, and your base OS snapshot will be, the original disk will be just 20 GB, and the delta disk will be 1 terabyte. So now if you delete the snapshot, it will merge those changes, and it will be very hard for on your IOs, on your platform, to merge everything together. And still there are new changes coming in, your machine is production, so that this can go This can create problems. So if we go into the settings of a machine, you can disconnect a network, you can disconnect CD-ROM. It is a bit easier when we go with type 2 hypervisors. So let's say if I can disconnect a CD-ROM, so like it's gone like that. We can take snapshot, we can convert a VM into a template. Convert to template. So now this machine will be available in templates folder.
So you can basically edit it and create another virtual machine with the
From
template.
these templates. Actually, templates is like we are creating a template, we are installing the operating system, we have done some updates, we have done some basic configuration to say, whatever is the company policy, and we can convert into the template so that you don't power on this machine and you don't do changes with this machine, and then we can start deploying machine from this template. So this is
So
template.
when you do OVFs, what do you do with those OVFs?
I was coming to the OVF after the template. So what's a OVF? Our vCenter is deployed, and we have seen that this is vCenter server machine. We had no VM available for vCenter. So what happened? Actually, let's go to the CentOS. It is giving me a warning because the CD-ROM was mounted inside. So it is saying you have tried to disconnect it, but someone is using it inside. So I am forcefully saying that doesn't matter, unmount it anyways. So what OVF is? Let's say I have this virtual machine and I want to make a OVF file. So what I will do is I will explain OVF in a minute. So template. Come on, I have said yes. Just refresh it.
I think you have to power off.
Okay, no. Yeah, I can power it off. Like, let's see, the tools are there. Can I go like that? No, I have to power it off.
Because I used to do this. That's how I know.
I don't do it daily. Because they're only required when you want to shift the data to somewhere else, or you want to deploy an OVF which is already given to you by someone. Someone, of course, someone has exported it and provided it to you, and you can import it.
Yes.
So that's how you move a VM from one physical location maybe to other physical location. You can put it on internet so that anyone can download it and use it. So this is our template. Just like that, I can hit OK. And it has started exporting the disk configuration, all the files, and I can save it. Save it. But remember, before exporting a OVF, it is always better practice to remove all the snapshots. So let's download an OVF first. Let's see how much time it will take. It will take a lot of time. So we can discuss further stuff until it is downloading. So we can go back onto the machine. So we are exporting the OVF template. We can have multiple data stores. One more thing, if you will rename a machine here, it will not be changed on the, actually I am exporting the OVF, so let's wait for a few seconds. It will not be changed on the backend. The backend will remain the same. So if you are renaming a virtual machine, it is always a better practice. I have no other data store available. You migrate it. After changing the name, you migrate it and you change the storage. Like this is how we do the storage vMotion. What is a storage vMotion? We move the running VM, we move the running hard disk, or we move the hard disk of a running machine from one data store to another data store, like physically moving it. But we have to be very careful in this because maybe the size is too much. So now I have this one only share available, so I cannot move it anywhere else. So when we rename it and when we move it to the other data store, then the new on new data store, the folder will be the same as what you have renamed your VM. So otherwise, when you will have hundreds and thousands of VM, might be first of all, you should not change the name of a virtual machine. If you are changing it, you should change it like the way I'm telling you. If you change it, you do the storage vMotion. Otherwise, let's say your vCenter is gone. Now you remember the machine name was CentOS1, but maybe when you install the template, you said it CentOS1, but while you went into the production, you renamed it my web server. Now on the front, it is my web server. On your Excel sheets, on your data, you have used that CentOS1 is my web server, and it has the IP address 10.2.1, let's say 208. But if the crash happens and we are facing a disaster, so on the back end, you have the machine with the name CentOS1, and you are searching for my web server, and you will never find it. So then it became very tricky, and it requires a lot of effort. You have to register that VM again, and so much stuff. So the better practice is don't rename your virtual machines. Okay. And don't take too much snapshots of a virtual machine. You do take a snapshot, you work on that machine. If the whatever you're doing is successful, just delete the snapshot right away. Backup, we have separate solutions for backup. Snapshot is not a backup. I am saying it again and again because I have seen so much scenarios that people are thinking it's a snapshot and they actually crash everything. So we are done with storage vMotion. We are done with HA. We know how they are configured, and mostly we don't run the independent esxis. Mostly we have vCenter available, and we have, I don't need to go in networks, maybe. So these are available networks. We can create new networks. No, I think just leave it there. So I have exported, and it's taking time. 291 MB. Let's see. So anything you want to know about the, and one more thing, yeah. Let's say I can create directory ISO. So I have created it on storage. So let's go on. So if you see, ISO folder is available now here. So we know for sure. Okay, let's do one more thing. Move to folder ISO. If I go into the backend, cd ISO, and this is moved into this folder. So what I am showing you that everything related to the NFS or the shared storage, everything is available remotely. And if all our hosts go down, let's say if our storage is running, we have everything available on the backend. So we can again register all the VMs from here. So this is the requirement for HA, DRS, vMotion, storage vMotion. For everything, we have to have a shared mechanism, shared storage mechanism on the backend. Otherwise, none of the solution will work. So if you have any question related to VMware, or because this is the end of the topic. Anyone?
Do we use auto start?
What is auto start?
It's basically you are setting time for your virtual machines, like in order they restart in order.
Yes, we configure them in policies. We can, let's say, why we use those settings. Let's say after a crash, or let's say you are powering up your VMs. So if your web server is up first, because web server will take very less time to boot up, you will just need to run Apache. But the database server, let's say it's very huge and it takes some time to power up, to initialize the database, to power up the database. So what happened is your web server is up, but someone is browsing it. It will not work because it needs database first. So what we do is we know the database will take, let's say, 5 minutes to boot up and work properly. So we provide the timelines that first power on this machine database, and when database is done, after 5 minutes you can power up the web servers, and maybe after powering up all the web servers, you can power up the Nginx load balancer. so that if Nginx is available and the backend servers are not available again, then it's a bad user experience because nothing will work.
Got it.
So these are these host VM rules. You can apply those rules, whatever your rules are, VM rules and host rules. And you can define affinity and anti-affinity also, keep virtual machines together. Let's say I can create a group that these virtual machines should be together always, or these are my database servers. So we should separate these machines because one should be on one server, physical server, the other should be on other server. We can bind virtual machines to host is like your physical machine, your physical ESXi. We can bind our ESXis to physical host. Maybe that physical host has, okay, it's downloading some one more file. Actually, I was with the snapshot, so it is downloading everything. I guess it is completed. Yes, it is completed. So we will discuss the OVA later. So we can say that this physical machine has some extra network configuration or backend configuration. And if through DRS, this machine moves to some other host, the machine will not communicate with the network. So what we should do is we should bind this virtual machine to this host that even whatever load is available, you don't migrate this VM, you can download any other. So these are the rules we can apply. I don't know this virtual machine to virtual machine is. This is that what you were saying. The VM dependency restart condition must be met before continuing to. Like if that group of VMs is already started, so now I will start this machine. So from VM and host rules, you can do that. And our OVA is done. So before what we did was we deployed new virtual machine. We created a new virtual machine. We can deploy it from template. We have CentOS template now available. We can clone an existing virtual machine. We know how cloning is done. Okay. Where is that? Deploy OVF template. I was going wrong. So I can upload files that may go in download folder. The important thing is you have to select each and every file which is provided to you in the OVA. There can be OVA or there can be this OVF. So OVF comes with it can come with the different file extensions. And if it is available in this format, you have to select each and every file. Otherwise, your VM will not be deployed and it will not work. So if I hit open, it will verify that I have 5 files available. Why I am saying that you have to add everything? Because if we go into the downloads, we have VMDK available. And if I don't have Notepad++ right now, that's my favorite. Let's say I have Notepad. Okay, no, that's not the file. This is the hard disk. This is NVRAM. This might be the file. That's the problem. Okay, let's copy this file. Control C, and I can paste it to my D drive because so much stuff there. I can copy in C drive. And can just copy it and get it. And the name is CentOS 1 OVF. So this is the configuration which goes with the OVF. And it is saying that I will connect to VM network. I have this many disks. I have this RAM size available. I have all the parameters for the configurations are available in this file. The features supported by this OVF. So if we will not, the CD drive, so before exporting OVF, make sure your CD-ROM is disconnected. Otherwise, it will take the content of CD-ROM and the size will be big. So you have hard disk, SCSI controllers, how much memory is assigned to that VM. So everything will go in this OVF file. And if anything, this file is searching is not available on the destination server, it can create a problem in deploying that OVF. So Karan, you were deploying the OVF, right?
No, I have not.
So who was saying that they were
That
deploying?
was me.
I'm sorry, who was there?
It's Sheikh.
Okay, Sheikh. So you have faced this problem that you are deploying something and it is saying the file is missing or anything is missing, or I'm not able to deploy.
I actually used to just download the OVFs. We would give it to network engineering, so they would
Okay,
deploy it.
they would
So,
deploy it. Maybe the
yeah.
esxi version, let's say the OVF version is 7. If you are deploying it
Mhm.
and or virtual machine, this is VMX 19. Okay, I have vCenter 7 running. I have esxi 7 running. On that, my machine version is 19. If someone is deploying it on ESX 6.5, they will not support VMX version 19. Maybe what VMX version is. Let me show you. Share. Cancel. Whenever we are creating a virtual machine, new virtual machine, we give the compatibility. Go next. Go next. This is the compatibility. This machine will be compatible with 6.5 and later. So it will have all the versions. And this is virtual machine using hardware version 13. So if I am saying go with 7.0 update to, it is saying I am deploying user version 19. So version 19 has some extra features available because every day new features are coming with the virtual machine. So what I will do is, if I want to deploy it on the lower version, like let's say 6.5, I will manually edit this file and I will say 13, and it will be deployed. So even we can play with these OVF files. This is basic HTML. So if we understand it, we can modify this file and we can upload the OVF, because we come across scenarios in migration that the OVFs are not working. So even let's say the delta, we are talking about snapshot, the data corrupts. So we have to even modify and go into the descriptors file, because the descriptors are telling, okay, this delta is depending on that delta is depending on the master. So we have to sometimes regenerate the descriptors also. So we should know all the concepts here if we are working as a VMware engineer and if the environment is big. Anything else? So we were there with the deploying the OVF. So we can go to the jump server again, and or we cancel the deployment. So that's how you can deploy an OVF. And whenever we send the OVF, let's go to the OVF. So these are all the files. We should send all the files, or we should deploy it in OVA format, so it can be a single file. So I can create a folder, CentOS 1. Okay, it's double S, double, doesn't matter. And I should move all the files in this. And then I can create a tarball or rar, winrar, and I can send it. So anything else you want to know? Tomorrow we will go with Dockers and containers, because that's, let me first.